not be a more picturesque racetrack in North America than this one, Road America. They call it America's National Park of Speed, and it is race day. Not only will IndyCar run, but both USF2000 and USF Pro 2000 wrapping up their events. It is going to be a fantastic day. Beautiful blue skies here. A guy we're going to be watching here in USF Pro 2000. Second place yesterday for Christian Brooks and Pabst Racing. What do you got to do today to get the job done?
Well, you know, today we're starting from the pole, and the car's been great. Like, the team's just done an absolutely phenomenal job, and now I just got to do mine. It's as simple as that. So, you know, just get a good start. You know, yesterday I had a really big lockup, which I think hindered my race a bit. So definitely be careful on the new tires at the beginning and, you know, just hit my marks to be consistent.
Interesting, obviously, a triple header here, too, right? You'll learn throughout those first two races.
Yeah, of course. And, you know, after the rain yesterday, the grip washed off the track quite a bit. You know, we can be expecting that a little bit this morning as well because, you know, IndyCar's not going before us today. So the track is about a second off, I would say, from where we were qualifying at. So, you know, obviously you have to adapt a lot with your driving. So, you know, I've been thinking about it all night, and I'm ready for today. I
was going to say, second place yesterday, your best finish of the year. How badly do you need to win or want to win?
Yeah, no, I need it. I need it. Yeah, no, we've had a tough couple of events before this, and it's racing. I've been doing this a long time. It's a roller coaster, but, you know, I'd love to get one under my belt, and I know we're capable, so we're going to give it everything we got.
Pabst Racing has great...
I know we're capable, so we're going to give it everything we got.
Pabst Racing has great cars here this weekend, and not only that, this is the home race, right? They're nearby Oconomowoc, Wisconsin. There's a ton of Pabst fans around here. Are you feeling that pressure for the team?
No, I wouldn't say pressure, support, if anything. Yeah, I put enough pressure on myself, so I don't really worry about that too much. But no, I mean, it's just nice to have the opportunity in front of their people, and you know, I know they were super pumped yesterday with getting the win in USF and a podium with us, and you know, just do the same for them today.
Any game plan, or is it just kind of keep things free and be ready to attack or not attack?
It's tough to have a game plan around here. You know, the draft is so big that, you know, the only game plan I have is get the best restarts as possible, obviously get a good race start, and just try to break the draft. It's tough, but, you know, hopefully they battle a bit behind me and give me a little bit of a gap.
Starting from pole position, Christian Brooks will be a guy that can go for the race when he's won before in USF Pro 2000 competition. Pabst Racing has not won here in this category ever. Yes, in USF 2000, but never in the Pro 2000 category. Christian Brooks could be the guy that makes that happen for them today here at Road America.
You can feel confident Continental is the smart choice in tires.
Can they handle extremes?
Yep. Tested from the Texas desert to near the Arctic Circle.
Really?
Really.
Anything for the guy who finds that one pothole?
Yeah, road hazard coverage has your back.
For real?
Absolutely.
Were they made by like a bajillion engineers?
Well, closer to 100. Continental. Welcome to the smart choice in tires.
Over the years, we've chased down a lot of dreams, each one leading to the next, all the way to our most electrifying dream yet. Introducing the all-new, all-electric Honda Prologue. Made to inspire the newest generation of dreamers so they can make their dreams a reality. The all-new, all-electric Prologue from Honda.
It's a fresh start. It's a career's on the line. It's a great chapter. I think everybody's goal is to win
all this year is wanting to do it together, making a good championship season out of it.
It's the reason to keep me alive and the reason to keep me pushing. me a lot since I can keep going up the ladder. Seeing all those champions and wanting to become part of that list.
The drivers are racing aggressive with me, I'll race aggressive with them.
The scholarship is incredibly important. It's obviously the goal for every driver. I'm going to rewrite what happened last year in terms of that rivalry with him getting the best of me.
When you win a race, it's the best feeling ever. The field is stacked. Hopefully this year we can have good luck. Having the scholarship money to move up next year is really all I'm aiming for.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, an absolutely beautiful day here at Road America. 63-degree trackside, not a cloud in the sky. Fantastic opportunity for these young drivers in the USF Pro 2000 category to put on a show for you. They went green to checker in the opening race yesterday. A little bit more trouble in race number 2. And we are looking for what should be an absolutely fantastic battle here in the final event of the triple header. Midway point of the season for USF Pro 2000. The championship, of course, heating up as expected. Some changes in the drivers up front here on the weekend. Actually, Lockie Hughes able to take the point lead away from Nikita Johnson. But once again, 20 drivers set to roll off here to go racing here in USF Pro 2000. My name is, again, Rob Howden, the voice of this USF Pro Championships. I will be joined on the broadcast here by the voice of Road America, Eric Miller. But before we do that, let's have a look at the grid. 20 drivers getting set to roll, as I said. This is all lining up for the Elite Engines Grand Prix of Road America. Starting at the tail of the field, 60 years of age, Charles Finelli for Fat Boy Racing in the number 83, longtime competitor in the USF Pro Championships. He'll start 20th alongside Artie Flores, rookie out of Mexico for BN Racing in the number 78. Row 9, the Canadian Nico Christodoulou for VRD Racing. Started the season off in USF2000, actually got a win at NOLA Motorsports Park, but a big shunt in Indianapolis kind of put a hit on the budget and even maybe more so a hit on the title aspirations. So electing to say, hey, you know what, let's get the budget we have left and run a bunch of pro races with, of course, the anticipated move into the full-time Pro 2000 category in 2025. Christodoulou will start in the 18th spot alongside Tyke Durst, the driver of the number 33 for Turn 3 Motorsports. Tyke getting his first career top 10 finish yesterday. And again, we'll look to cap off this weekend in style. He'll start from the inside of row number 9. Row 8, it'll be Nicholas Monteiro in the number 9 for D-Force Racing. Monteiro starting 16th. Alongside him, Logan Adams, the rookie, who worked his way into the top 10 yesterday. A fantastic run for Logan Adams. 9th place finish, I believe, yesterday for Comet Racing in Newcastle Motorsports Park. Adams out of Greenfield, Indiana, in the number 21 machine. And we'll take the time right now to give a shout-out to everybody at Newcastle Motorsports Park. There's a KRA race this weekend. I know they've got the broadcast up on the big screen in the Racers Grill, so shout-out to all the racers. Shout-out to the Dismores. We'll see what Logan can do here starting from 15th. Row number 7, the Colombian Nicolas Baptiste will start 14th for BN Racing in the number 74. He has been a top 10 driver all year long, comes in 12th place in points. A tough DNF yesterday for Baptiste, looking to bounce back. Great run yesterday to the top 10 for Cooper Becklin. His debut weekend here in USF Pro 2000, 2 years running in the Formula Regional Americas program. Now with TJ Speed, Cooper Becklin will roll off from P13. George Garcia Arce in the number 10 for D-Force Racing, starting in the 12th spot, the Mexican on the outside, and Liam Skeets, the Kiwi on the inside, who was able to work his way up to the podium yesterday. Great run for Liam Skeets. 4th place in points, not that far back, only 10 points behind Chase Denmark and only 11 points behind Nikita Johnson for second. Pretty good lead right now for Lockie Hughes, 40 points, but everybody's still scrapping to get themselves up into that challenge position. Liam Skeets will start in 11th. Row number 5 will have Braden East. Strong run yesterday as well. Got a good battle. I think he was 6th, yesterday in the second race for Braden East, coming up from deeper in the field. That number 92 starting 10th for Exclusive Autosport. Alongside him, the driver currently second place in points. It has not been a good weekend for Nikita Johnson of Gulfport, Florida. The VRD racing driver finishing well back yesterday in the number 17, looking for a bounce back as he starts from the 9th position. Row number 4 will have Frankie Mossman for Jay Howard Driver Development. A strong second-place finish in race number 1 yesterday, but then got caught up in a couple of incidents in race number 2. He'll again start from the 9th position, or rather the 8th position outside of row 4. The pace is there to win for Frankie Mossman. He's just got to put it all together and work his way forward early in this run. A 15-lap race or 40 minutes, the time window. We'll see which of those plays in today. Mossman's going to start alongside Ricardo Escoto, another driver on the podium yesterday for BN Racing in the number 77. He'll start on the inside of row number 4, P7. Row number 3 on the outside driver has really kind of stepped things up here on the weekend. Danny Jashelski out of North Carolina for turn 3. Motorsports was right in the middle of the fight yesterday. The 16-year-old rookie driving the number 3, starting 6th outside of row 3. And alongside him from Indianapolis, Indiana for Pabst Racing in the three-dimensional surfaces, number 20, Jace Denmark will start in the 5th position. He's 3rd place in points, 41 behind your point leader, Lockie Hughes. Denmark ready for that first win, because this is one thing here. Big weekend for Pabst Racing. Their shop, of course, in nearby Oconomowoc. They have never won here yet in USF Pro 2000. They've got victories in USF 2000, but looking for that maiden USF Pro 2000 win, and they have all 3 of their drivers in the top 5. Going to row number 2 on the outside, Matt Clark from Canada in the D-Force Racing number 7. If you watched that second race yesterday, huge incident going down into turn number 5 on the opening lap. D-Force Racing, the team worked all night to get that car. They have not slept. They put that car back together for Matt Clark, and he is on the grid in P4, ready to attack to try to get that podium that has eluded him throughout this weekend. Clark starting in the 4th position. Inside that row, another driver who needs a big result here now, Simon Sykes, last year's USF 2000 champion, a winner earlier this year. On the Indianapolis Motor Speedway road course, was 2nd in the opening, or 3rd in the opening race, went off in the final corner trying to make an overtake, and then an issue as well in race number 2 yesterday. So 2 DNFs for Simon Sykes. He badly wants to come back and reward Pabst Racing with their first win. He's going to start on the inside of row number 2. Front row, though, your point leader, Lockie Hughes from Australia, now living up in Carmel, Indiana for turn 3 Motorsports in the number 44 machine. Hughes with a solid point lead, 40 points. That's over a full races point haul. So right now, a good position for Lockie Hughes to potentially extend before we head to Mid-Ohio on the first weekend of July. But with 20 drivers in the field, the guy on the front row, pole position, is ready for that win. He's won a couple times before here at the USF Pro Championships. He's got the speed. This is Christian Brooks for Pabst Racing in that number 19 machine, the deploy surveillance car. He knows he has a good hot rod. We had him up here in our rain-delayed USF 2000 coverage and talked a lot about how these cars are good, and they just keep getting better. Just outside the podium in race 1, on the podium for race 2, he looks to stand on top of the box when it's all said and done here. Christian Brooks out of California, the number 19, starting on the pole position. So it'll be Brooks and Hughes, row 1, Sykes and Clark, row 2, Denmark and Jashelski, row 3, Escoto and Mossman, row 4, Johnson and Eves, row 5, Skeets and Garciarce, row 6, Becklin and Baptiste, row 7, Adams and Montiero, row 8, Durst and Christodoulou, row 9, and Flores and Finelli, row 10. Ethan Hoa, no starter after that big incident yesterday, that shunt over in turn number 5. Eric Miller, this is, number 1, perfect day. Chamber of Commerce weather for not only all the ladder system series, Radical Cup, but of course the IndyCar race we'll see here later on today, the Indy Next event as well. Perfect weather. Radical Cup went up there and rocked out a really good race. This is ideal for these guys to see who can come away with a win.
Well, absolutely, and much better conditions than race 2, right? And we talked to Christian Brooks yesterday while he was in the booth, and obviously he was covering the USF 2000 race with us, and what turned into a USF podcast with us, but
yeah, nice little hour talk, right?
But to be honest, it was a great conversation with him. He was open and honest about his development too, coming through and what he's got at the table at Pabst Racing. He was pretty aggressive on the first couple of laps yesterday, and locked it up going into turn 5. And kind of hurt his chances to be able to attack at the end. He kind of just had to mind the Continentals at the end, and that's what he said he didn't want to do.
100%. And the funny thing, Eric, you say this. When I talked to him after the race, he goes, I can't believe I locked them up big time. I had to be really ginger, real careful with the tires and the braking for the rest of the race. You and I talked about that in the broadcast, and I interviewed him. He was part of the pre-race show here for the broadcast for race number 3 with me. He brought that up. He said, that was a mistake I made. I was pushing so hard, getting down into turn 5, locked those tires up, and I knew that I was kind of on the back foot at that point. He's happy right now. I think he's got fresh tires for this race as well. Everything's lining up for Christian Brooks to potentially able to come away with his first win of the season.
Well, with the advantage of how fast that car's been all weekend, obviously the wet weather and the slow drying track conditions yesterday afternoon put them in a little bit of a difficult position once he did lock up those tires. But that car certainly had pace in the opening couple of laps until he locked that right front tire up. And, I think that, with it being a home race for Pabst, there's a lot of pressure. And I think that whole team feels that a little bit. But I think once that comes here at Road America, I think Pabst Racing going to settle into pro. But they've got to get it done today.
He's 59 points behind Lockie Hughes right now. So when in the pre-show, I'd said to him, do you need this win? Do you want this win? And he came back and said, I need this win. He realizes where he is in the points. He knows we're starting that second half of the season. This is when you start getting that momentum, right? Win a couple of races. Put your name in the championship conversation. So guys like Lockie Hughes and Jace Denmark and the guys that are up front, Nikita Johnson, are realizing, hey, this is a guy I'm going to have to contend with week in and week out before we get to Portland.
And right now, Lockie Hughes is kind of looking for the broom closet this weekend, right?
Indeed, he is.
He has been lights out fast all weekend long, both dry and wet. He's put himself into a position, in yesterday's podium, and we see that here in the first couple of rows, there's a lot of R's next to names in USF Pro this year, and they're all excelling.
Yeah, top 4 drivers on the grid here right now, all rookies. So, indeed, even when you look at the
5 out of the top 6.
I was just going to say, and if you look at the championship as well, it's the same thing. It is 3 out of the top 5 are all rookies coming in. Again, they're coming in as the top drivers from USF2000 too, or like Brooks, who was on the sidelines, was able to get a couple races in last year. So. Indeed, the rookies have stepped up, but I always say this, and you've heard me kind of go over it many times when we get to Road America, because it's you and I in the booth for so many years. This, I believe, is almost that race where there aren't any rookies anymore, because they've already started the season. They've done the road course or the street circuit at St. Petersburg. They've been on the oval. They've been on the road course at Indianapolis. So they've sampled everything that we have to offer, right? Now they come to Road America, a track where people have done significant testing on. Now you can go to work. We oftentimes will see rookies win like we are right now with Lockie Hughes.
Very honestly, this is the weekend, even though we don't really have one, this is the hairpin weekend of the season.
Yeah.
You're going in a straight line, and now you got to make that return, and it's a points return. You got to start building points now. And I think the drivers that are chasing Lockie Hughes, Lockie's going to have bad luck, I think, because that team for Turn 3 certainly has the pace, the speed, and the consistency to win this championship this year to get him to move up, right? But at the same time, these other teams that are chasing, they're going to need him to have some bad luck. Now, you don't want him to have bad luck as a race fan, but as those other teams are like, just give us a break. What do we have to do to finally get him off the top step of the podium here this weekend? And what it's going to take is just being really diligent.
Here's the thing. As he started the season off, he was the quickest guy at spring training at NOLA. We roll into St. Petersburg. He wins the first race, on the podium for the second race. Then NOLA was a disaster. There just was no pace there. They weren't sure what it was. The pace was not there for him. But then he bounces back and starts this massive run. Not only does he have a couple of wins here this weekend, he's got 3 now with the win at St. Petersburg, but he's on this run right now of, I think, 6 podium finishes in a row. If he gets to the podium, it's just working. Everything's working for him right now, being up front. You mentioned it's kind of like the hairpin, right? Now they start thinking about points. I love that, because at the start of the season, first couple races in, you ask if they start thinking about points, and you're like, no, the classic race car driver.
Points. We just need to do what we need to do, and points are going to come.
If I win races, the championship will take care of itself, right? Yeah. Well, now when we're on that second half of the season, now it's, well, hey, you know what? For Lockie, I got a 40-point lead. I don't need to win. As long as I'm second, right? As long as I'm in front of the guy that's closest to me in the points, I'm in good shape. So, yeah, they'll start thinking about points on the stretch run to Portland.
And Portland's one of those racetracks, too, with those festival curves into Turn 1. It's game on.
Oh, my goodness.
Anything can happen going into Turn 1 in Portland, right?
We go back a couple of years at USF2000 there, and it was a fantastic battle. Miles Rowe and Jace Denmark for Pabst Racing, Michael D'Orlando for Cape Motorsports, the big battle to see who's going to be able to win the championship. D'Orlando was actually third. He wasn't the primary contender. It really was between Jace Denmark and Miles Rowe. They ended up getting together twice during the starts down into the festival curves, Turn 1, 2, and 3. And Michael D'Orlando emerges victorious and ends up winning the championship. So, again, that's a track that it doesn't matter where you are. Somebody can come from deeper in the championship chase and the standings to work their way up. This is the guy they're chasing here right now, the Australian. As we're being told, 3 minutes till we fire up the engines here. The AMR IndyCar safety crew going around the racetrack to make sure everything is set to go. 3 minutes before we fire up the engines here for USF Pro 2000. And once again, Lockie Hughes, the driver they are chasing, as I had said, a tremendously talented race car driver, won a bunch of races last year in a fight with Simon Sykes to go after the championship. But again, for him, another solid finish even if he's on the, doesn't even need to be really on the podium, but if he's on the podium again, the pressure he is all of a sudden going to put on in the stretch run. He'll almost, I don't want to say he'll almost be able to cruise to the finish because anything could happen, especially at Portland, even Toronto, right? Some of the tracks we go to are precarious. You can make one little mistake and you're out big time.
And we saw that a little bit at Detroit too, and even at St. Pete. But the concrete canyons, I think, are where, like we talked to Christian yesterday as well. When you get to those types of racetracks, there is no room for error. There's no runoff. Side to side, you got to keep it between the barriers, right? And
he called Toronto the toughest track on the circuit.
Yeah.
On the circuit.
And I would tend to agree. Just even as a fan watching, you know that the exertion level of these drivers, these, as Christian, we talked about yesterday in race 2, that looking at Christian, he is just completely working on himself more than anything to be physically ready for these longer races here in pro. And with that, no power steering on these cars, you get really hard challenging laps where you're on the edge at any moment, and those racetracks aren't nearly as forgiving as a place like Road America. But you can still let this track bite you if you're not careful.
100%. Let's have a look at the program here. $1.68 million on offer this year in prize money and awards in the USF Pro Championships. One of the things that sets this series apart from any other ladder series program around the world is the scholarship program. If you win this series at USF Pro 2000 as a champion, the scholarship to move to Indy next worth over $680,000. True cash moving to the team as you go up to Indy next. And we have seen so many drivers, Kyle Kirkwood on up, that have used that scholarship winning in USF Pro 2000 to move up to Indy next, which they otherwise wouldn't have been able to do. Drivers in USF 2000, a scholarship worth $458,000 to move up to USF Pro 2000. And for the USF juniors, who will be in action next weekend at VIR, that scholarship worth $263,700 to go up to USF 2000. Nicholas Giaffoni, the Brazilian for D-Force Racing, winning the championship last year and moving up to USF. Engines firing down on pit lane, and there is your pole sitter, Christian Brooks, as we get set to go on all the cars. So you'll see here, Continental Tires. Looking for premium performance during the month of June? Receive a Visa prepaid card by mail with the purchase of 4 qualifying Continental Tire passenger tires. Terms and conditions apply. Visit ContinentalTire.com for full details. Continental Tire, the smart choice in tires.
Morning to those folks watching over in Portugal on the YouTube screen.
I love
this
it.
Morning.
That's good.
Also down at Newcastle as well.
I know for sure we'll have people from Brazil are always tuning in for sure. From Australia, watching Lockie Hughes. Again, so many different nations. Every year we do this. We got Colombia, of course, with Nicolas Baptiste as well. Liam Skeets from New Zealand. This is lining up to be an absolute burner of a race. This is, again, we watched it yesterday up front. That final race yesterday with USF Pro, my goodness, that was some good racing.
Temperatures here reaching to about 70 degrees now with the sunshine. So track temperature is going to be above 90, 95 degrees as we start this day. Sun's been beaten all morning since sunrise at about 5:45 this morning. So this track is going to be warmed up. We're going to have conditions today almost more similar to Friday with a warmer temperature, and the wind is back a little bit as we had the frontal system move through the rain yesterday. The wind is back, and we talked to Christian a little bit about that too, and he said you could really feel it when you're moving side to side down the straightaway too. It was where they were turning in at turn 1. It was coming across the kind of a crosswind from 12 to 1 from the northwest here in North America, and wind was playing with the behavior of the cars a little bit, so getting everything dialed in to face that. So this race is going to have probably the most similar track conditions to what we had on Friday.
And same goes for Thursday when they all the series, both USF 2000 and Pro, both had 2 55-minute sessions, a lot of track time. And again, I talked to one of the USF 2000 drivers, and they said the same thing. They could feel the car actually physically moving around with the wind coming across the bow. So it'll wreak a little bit of havoc, but it'll be the drivers who have to adapt for it, be ready for the change, because as we know, a couple of different ecosystems here at this racetrack. It could be super windy in one and raining in 14, or raining down in Thunder Valley, or pardon me, Kettle Bottom. So
we saw that yesterday for a little bit. It was raining in only 12, 13, and 14, and it was dry everywhere else for a bit.
And remember, race number 1, it was raining at last lap for these guys. It was raining in 9. Nico Christodoulou went off. Matt Clark spun. Like, it caught everybody out. And the worst place to have that is when you're fully pinned going through the carousel.
So you got to face that, And then you got to stop the mental mistakes. Simon Sykes, 2 mental mistakes in race 1 and race 2, respectfully. You know he was gutted, especially after yesterday.
I spoke to him this morning. He said, he goes, I dropped the ball. I got to step back up. I got to be the guy that gives them the win here today. And again, he's going to start third, so right in the middle of the fight. We're going to see that early pack develop as things kind of spread out over the first couple laps. Do we see another yellow-filled kind of race, or do we go back to race number 1 where it was green to checkered, everybody ran clean and green?
I think all of us here anticipate, hopefully, race 1. We want them to race it out. But if we do happen to get a yellow or 2 here, who's going to capitalize on those restarts?
Well, listen, we saw some guys do a great job. Sykes did a great job when he was leading at one point. A couple different moves. He pulled them all the way around 14 up the hill at one point and then got on the throttle almost at the alternate timeline, essentially, on the next restart. So he did a pretty good job, but it's such a long run to turn 1.
Pretty sure Sykes on that restart started at the front stretch bridge after the pit inlet.
Right.
So on one restart, and then, like you said, at the alternate timeline. So field's going to shape up 2 by 2, going to come underneath the Austin Straubel Field sign over in 14, paired up. The safety cars off on the Screamin' Sicilian Pizza pit lane. Rob, go racing. Race 3 for USF Pro.
Yeah, our Honda pace car, the Type R Civic, into pit lane. Time to get things underway. As we said before, Brooks on the inside, Hughes on the outside. All three of the Paps cars in the top 5. Who will come away with the win? They'll work their way up the top of the hill. A 15-lapper for USF Pro to cap off their triple header. Again, waiting for that flag from the starter, and we are underway. Green, 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 and right to the bottom of the racetrack goes Brooks. Hughes follows him through, but immediately pops out to go 2 wide. We may go 3 wide a little further back. Have a look. Yeah, 3, maybe even 4 wide. Great run there for Brooks, but here comes to the inside as well. That's Jace Denmark. Put some pressure on, as did Simon Sykes, trying to find a way by Lockie Hughes.
Much cleaner turn 1 today.
Yeah, down into turn number 3 for the first time. Simon Sykes getting hung out to dry a little bit there on the outside, but a good run through turn 3 for that bright yellow haloed car. You can really see Christian Brooks' machine as he works his way down. Lockie Hughes, wise, patient, ready to attack coming down into turn number 5. Great shot here as they'll come down into the corner. Hughes is going to try to go around the outside. It looks pretty good. No, he's got to check up a little bit. Brooks dove all the way into the apex, and he will take the lead, and he'll low line it up into turn number 6 as well. So full defense mode early on here for Christian Brooks, trying to hold off Lockie Hughes.
I think what he wants to do is he's taking that defensive line, managing his tires a little bit, keeping the pace back, but keeping kind of Hughes in a position where Hughes really can't capitalize, just taking the middle of the road. Brooks wants the clean air on the front of that car.
Well, he also knows he's got 2 of his Paps teammates right around there as well. Maybe they'll go in and get to work right now.
Could be back
on Lockie Hughes, right?
Backing Hughes up into his teammates.
It's actually Matt Clark right now looking to bounce back after that horrific shunt in turn number 5 yesterday. He's up to P3. He's right on the gearbox coming through the kick. Look how close he is. It was a tough one for him yesterday, Eric, because they had put fresh rubber on.
Got it. That was a fast race car yesterday.
Oh, he was so like he goes, I got the car. We're going to be really good. They've dialed things in throughout the weekend. It just didn't play out as he got sideswiped there coming through turn number 5. But he has got himself a hot rod right now, trying to find a way to the outside of Lockie Hughes coming through Canada corner. First time through Canada, back up the hill, and look at that. Clark is literally pushing him up through Billy Mitchell Bend.
Braden Eves really struggling around Skeets and Garcia Arce in the back. Been kind of floating on the outside of a lot of these corners and dropping a few positions. He had kind of a disastrous moment in that opening lap with the contact. Didn't lose the left rear, which we were really surprised by, but talk about someone else who has had kind of a disastrous weekend, Frankie Mossman.
Oh, second in race 1, and then had that incident with Charles Finelli in race number 2. So we'll have a look. Look at this fight further back. Man, they're going at it outside the top 10. Look at this big wide run to the outside as well. Yeah, outside the top 10, they are fighting. Here is your top 10 in the first lap. Brooks leads, Hughes second, Clark in third, Denmark fourth, Sykes fifth, then Jashelski sixth, Scotto seventh, Nikita Johnson up to eighth, Liam Skeets ninth, and Frankie Mossman rounding out the top 10. He started eighth, fell back into 10th. Now's the time to go to work.
Brooks again on the inside line. Lockie looked to the outside, trying maybe the over-under.
There's that fight further back there between Braden
big lockup
as well, and I believe Eves, and I think that might be Baptiste up there now. Indeed a lockup, drivers pushing hard. Down into turn 5, up under the Corvette bridge through turn number 6 now. A lot of side-by-side action further back in the pack. I think that would have been Nicholas Monteiro going at it with Artie Flores as well.
But this is the aggressive racing that we want to see. It's been clean so far, elbows up, but not necessarily out. With only 2 laps in, this is a long race for this USF Pro.
Yeah, let's be real, 15 laps on this. Christian talked a lot about how physical these cars are to drive it. And listen, when the drivers come in USF Pro Championships or they come to juniors, I always tell them, you think you're fit enough? You're not. Because when you get to the next level, it's just going to be a lot more. You have to be ready for it. When you get to pro, you're not ready. You think you're ready for pro, but you're not, because it is such a heavy car. The front tires are so much larger. We always talk to people, they'll ask, hey, what's the difference between USF2000 and USF Pro 2000? And like I always say, it's just more of everything. There's 70 more horsepower, significantly more downforce. It's a different bodywork on the car. The brakes are better. Oh, there's contact there. A driver's gone over. Contact coming out of Billy Mitchell into turn 14, climbed over the back, and we have a big shunt. Full course yellow as a driver climbed over the back coming into 14, the braking zone to transition back onto the straightaway, and that was a tough one. Trying to figure who that is potentially falling down the order right now. The contact in that corner, that was a big one for sure. Drivers all working their way back across, trying to figure who that might be. A couple drivers involved. The number 6 is involved. That was Frankie Mossman. I think that might have been Logan Adams that went over in the Comet racing machine, got caught up with the driver in front of him, and launched that thing into the air.
We're not going to speculate anything, but good news is that last camera shot, I did see the helmet turn and look at the safety team arriving. So
one of the things the drivers are supposed to do, first and foremost, once you're done, if you're okay, is flip the visor open, and then of course if they can take the steering wheel out, we know. But yeah, that was big contact as Logan Adams was putting the pressure on there, and just caught up, got into the back, and you saw that car shoot straight up into the air, came back down on all 4, but on a bit of an angle, and then started the tumble once he got into the gravel trap. So again, these cars are unbelievably safe with the halo that we added back in 2022. The actual cockpit, the carbon tub for the car is super safe. And, obviously we're all praying right now that everything's okay with Logan Adams. As I said before, his family, mom and dad, watching at home right now from Newcastle Motorsports Park. I'm sure they're waiting for an update as well. His grandpa, Mark Dismore, is here trackside with the team. That was a tough one for Logan. I talked to him earlier today. He was so super pumped to get back out onto the track after a great run yesterday. I had a chance to sit down and have a chat with Joseph Newgarden yesterday as well. Good family friends as Joseph started his career at Newcastle Motorsports Park. Again, waiting to see if we can't get some insight. And literally just coming down into turn number 14 on the entry there. Just had another quick little look at the replay here on the side of one of the cameras from the track itself. We are going to have a look at the replay here, folks, as they come out of the corner. So watch this. Coming across a little bit, like trying to crisscross. Big contact.
Misjudged the crossover there a little bit.
Yeah, and then there the thing starts rolling. And then look at the halo. It is just such a fantastic addition to these cars. Carnage everywhere, parts everywhere, but that carbon fiber monocoque, that tub, doing its job to make sure that they protect Logan Adams. And man, like he said, coming into the corner, looked to me like he tried to make a move a bit to driver's right to kind of set up to look to the inside. Driver up front, got on the brakes, got up on the top of them, and away he went. Frankie Mossman was the driver who went over as well. So Logan Adams and Mossman involved. Braden Eves as well, quite a ways back. But that car is going to take extensive damage for Adams, who was, again, like I said, coming off a really strong run in the top 10. Disappointing for him for sure. Again, with the AMR IndyCar safety team on the scene so quickly, thrilled to see that he is okay. Same with Frankie Mossman as well. And again, you go back a couple of years when, the halo wasn't the thing. And I think, when it first came out, we all said it looks horrible. It looks like a flip-flop, you name it. When I look at pictures back then without the halo, it just seems so odd to me because I absolutely love the look of the car now and the vastly increased safety that we have with that halo, as obviously, listen, it saved a couple lives we know already. Ava Dobson with that huge shunt in USF Juniors at Barber when she got into Bruno Ribeiro, who was flat stick in the middle of the racetrack. That most definitely saved Logan Adams from some level of injury.
Absolutely. Now, with the way that car took off, just kind of misjudged. It looked like the crossover a little bit, and with that, I think what kind of caused that is just like yesterday's crash with Ethan Ho and Matt Clark. He was just a passenger. Once you get airborne, there's no way that you can slow down. And then coming down, it had that slap though, and when it slaps down in the grass, it just kind of bit, and certainly unfortunate.
And it was the angle too, right?
Yeah.
He kind of came down, and instead of coming straight down, he was already on that turn. He was already starting to rotate a bit, and then when he hit the side, it bit. That'll shake him up for sure. But again, Logan Adams, as we said, out of the car with the AMR IndyCar safety team, so thrilled to see that. And as well, the same with Frankie Mossman, who again had such a good run in the opening race. Was just so excited to get out there and put some laps down and try to work his way back forward. But 2 drivers out of this race already. Really only 2 laps in the books. They came back around. Christian Brooks is the leader here as they circulate under yellow. Lockie Hughes in second. Matt Clark, a great start to go up into third, put the pressure on Hughes. Denmark in fourth. Sykes fifth. Dushelski sixth. Nikita Johnson started ninth. He's up into seventh. Ricardo Escoto, who started seventh, now eighth. Liam Skeets in ninth, and George Garce Arce rounding out the top 10. Tyke Durst back at 17th has stayed out of trouble. He's up to 11th, looking to try to get his second straight top 10 finish. So again, 40 minutes is the time limit. We are at 30 minutes right now. So we'll see whether or not we're able to get the entire distance in. 3 laps down, we'll put lap 4 in the books when they come back around. And I know those of you taking some time out here on a Sunday morning, hope you're enjoying the broadcast here on the USF Pro Championships YouTube channel or on the downloadable app. We'll say hello to all of those of you who are tuning in. Thank you so much for being part of the action here on a beautiful Sunday morning. Scary wreck, though, for Logan Adams getting into the back of Frankie Mossman coming into turn number 14. But once again, can't say enough about the quality of the tub for Tatis, who provides all of the race cars in the USF Pro Championships. That same tub is used in all 3 of our series, USF Juniors, USF 2000, and USF Pro 2000. And once again, it has served its purpose to make sure that driver is able to get out and come back and race another day.
I think the drivers have done an amazing job adapting to that over the course of the last couple of years. Obviously, the newer generation of Tatis, it looks normal now. And
it does. I love it. Yeah.
And I think from my perspective at the very beginning, it was like, how can you see around that post? But again, with training and testing, you just kind of feel that ends up being a normal aspect of no different than a windshield wiper in your passenger car, where you just simply adapt. Your brain adapts to that at that speed. And you and I have driven enough race cars and go-karts over the years to know that things feel like they actually slow down when you're behind the wheel in these race cars. You're going 185 miles an hour, but it doesn't feel that fast. Things happen very fast, but your brain slows things down in the process a little bit. And now that halo, no question, is the integral piece of the safety platform in open wheel racing today. And I'm glad that we've got it now.
I'm
absolutely, absolutely.
Eric, you literally look over. We've had wrecks where guys have climbed on top of each other. There's the 1 lap to go side, so we will go back to green this next time by, but we've had guys climb on top of each other. We've had a number of flips. Nico Christodoulou rolled his USF2000 car in Indianapolis, immediately popped out of the car. And again, the safety level, the halo, our partners at Tatis, thrilled with them for sure. And of course, lots of great partners as part of our program as well. I mentioned the Continental already. We got that beautiful new Honda Civic Type R pace car, which is leading those cars around the field right now. The most powerful Honda production vehicle ever sold, turbocharged 2-liter 4-cylinder 315 horsepower machine. Absolutely fantastic to have that as part of our program now. And of course, VP Racing fuels as well. VP Racing is the exclusive fuel supplier for all 3 levels of the USF Pro Championships. Back in 2021, VP expanded their role and became the official lubricant and coolant as well. In addition to VP Racing engine oil and VP Racing gear oil, this includes VP Racing's new line of Stay Frosty Performance engine coolants. Skip Barber Racing School will be joining us here. We're back at Road America in August, their Formula Race Series. Of course, giving out a $100,000 scholarship to move into USF Juniors, a fantastic spec program there for racers coming out of karting, wanting to learn wheel-to-wheel competition before moving up into USF Juniors. But again, we will go back to green this next time by. Christian Brooks handled the start. Now he's got to handle a restart.
And very honestly, he controls his own destiny now into turn one. How do you get the run? How do you prevent Lockie Hughes from getting the run? These are all the things that Christian Brooks is now thinking as the lights are out on top of that safety car. And the interesting thing here, though, is Matt Clark trying to rebound after that incident in turn 5 yesterday. Matt Clark keeping a little bit of distance between himself and Lockie Hughes here into turn 7 and lighting up the rear tires coming up through the apex at 7, trying to clean off those rears a little bit, trying to get those tires to bite. These Continentals have been great all weekend, both in the dry and in the wet yesterday. A great new partner for USF Pro, and these tires are definitely going to see some track temperature today. And throughout the testing on Thursday, throughout the practice in race 1 yesterday, you look at the way that this field is shaping up, no question that these tires have been great all weekend, putting the rubber down on the track. Today, this track is starting to take a little bit more rubber that washed off through the rain yesterday.
Yeah, we'll see how things play out when we get through to the end of this one. Will we be able to get all the laps in? Will we bump up against the time limit with 25 minutes remaining? And again, remember, folks, we're back-to-back races. I will head down to Victory Lane right after this event to chat with the winner, and we'll pass out some hardware to the top 3. But we're going to go right back at it with USF2000. They're ready to go as well. Those cars will be pushing up, if not already, to the mock grid to get ready for their event as well. 12 laps or 30 minutes for the drivers in USF2000. That race that was postponed on yesterday morning with the rain. We end up continuing that race for race number 1 yesterday afternoon, so we've moved their second race to the morning. Back at it here right now, and Christian Brooks punching off right after the alternate timing line coming into turn 14, so he's rolling his way up the hill. Did he get the job done? We saw a lot of drivers do the snake yesterday. That has now been outlawed by the series. They looked at it yesterday, and they said, no, you cannot do that snake anymore. You got to make sure you pick one lane, you're allowed one move.
No different than the blocking rules, so to speak. In that aspect, but Christian Brooks under attack and Lockie Hughes to P1.
Yeah, not surprising. Hughes able to go around the outside. He and Brooks now pulling away a little bit here. A little bit of side-by-side action further back coming under the bridge, and then down over here to turn number 3. You see him move to the inside a little further back there.
A little bit of lockup too. Looked like Sykes maybe.
I think that might have been Liam Skeets going by Ricardo Scotto that passed, but maybe, as you said, I didn't see the lockup, but I think that was Skeets making the move. He's in the middle of a scrap right now, as Scotto is right there behind them. I want to say is Garcia Arce as well. So that's the fight right now for just inside the top 10, 8th, 9th, and 10th. So another pass there. Denmark able to get by Clark. So move Clark back to 4th. Jace Denmark now up into the 2nd spot. Lockie Hughes trying to go a sweep of all 3 main events. He leads right now. 2nd is Brooks. 3rd is Denmark. 4th is Clark. 5th, Dushelski. A great drive for the 16-year-old Danny Dushelski. He's just really coming into his own here, Eric, midway through the season. Coming in here right now, 8th place in points, but he's been locking down some big results. Had a fantastic run on the oval as well at Indianapolis Raceway Park. So really, Danny's really starting to get a good feel for this Pro 2000 car with turn 3.
And part of that is a lot of that radical experience. That is a true wing and slick formula of car that racing here as well this weekend. But Danny, a lot of experience with that type of car with the high downforce package. So not a surprise to see him excelling here in Pro.
Again, Pabst Racing looking for that first USF Pro 2000 victory. Will it come from Brooks or Denmark? Christian Brooks settling in nicely here. We got a long way to go. Still 22 minutes. We've got 5 laps in, 10 laps still remaining. It'll be lap 6 with 9 to go when they come back around. Simon Sykes a bit further back, as you saw there. Sykes going at it, I believe, with Nikita Johnson. So Nikita trying to work his way back forward as well. We'll look at lap times to see how we're playing out here.
Jace Denmark up to 3rd.
Yeah, Jace Denmark got Clark, I believe, down into turn number 5 last lap. So he is up to 3rd. And right now, Dashelski getting by Clark as well. So Dashelski by Clark, and Nikita Johnson's up to 6th. It's been a rough weekend, as I said before, for Nikita Johnson. Starting 9th, he's up to 6th. Looks like that car may be finally coming in here for Nikita Johnson, putting his head down to try to close back in here. But again, the driver on the move there a little further back was Danny Dashelski, able to get by Matt Clark. He's up to P4 now. And we'll see whether or not Dashelski's got the outright place to close up on the front-running trio. Hughes, Brooks, Denmark, 1, 2, 3, last lap. It was a 2:04.6 for Hughes, 2:05.4 for Brooks. So Hughes pulling out nicely on that last lap. I think he was able to get the run around turn number 1, and of course Brooks was down to the inside of it, so lost a lot of pace on that lap, having a shallow entry into turn 1. Let's see how close they are when they come back down here to hurry downs. Turn number 8, and through then, of course, 9, the carousel.
Big moment up there in 7 a little bit on the exit of 6.
That's a tough corner. I always struggle with that corner because it feels like a corner when you're there, but it's more of a kink, to be honest, but you still got to be flat out. It's a high commitment corner. You're trying to point out that exit curbing where you're going to roll out there. We've seen, how many times have you seen a guy go over that exit curbing, it rotates, and he's in the wall on the right side of the track?
Yeah, absolutely. And you also find that coming out of 6, it's a blind left-hander, and you're just in the crest of that, and the track drops away slightly to the break point when you turn in to center apex at 6. So it's a difficult corner to get off of 6 and then get all of that momentum swung out to track right, track left, and then try to use the kink flat out with these formula cars.
Christian Brooks continues to put the pressure. Look how far. He's about maybe 4 or 5 car lengths back. Not that much. Jashelski actually started to close up on Jace Denmark here. Remember, Jace Denmark comes in here 3rd place in points right now, 41 points behind Lockie Hughes, but really in a solid spot up front within that top 5. Denmark looking, again, for a big race win. He has not got that victory on the season as of yet. 2nd place in the Freedom 90. He would love to get that win, especially here for Pabst Racing. Simon Sykes making a move further back, getting by George Garcia-Arce. So move Simon Sykes up into 9th. The driver started in 3rd, went backwards early, trying to start that recovery back forward.
Braden Eves really struggling right now, dropping back a little bit in the battle with Montero.
Tyke Durst, tough one for him for sure. Pace has not been there for the driver who came away with a dominant victory in the Freedom 90 just a couple of weeks ago. There's your leaders into turn number 5. The gap back to Denmark. I don't think we're done with Matt Clark yet either, but look at the gap behind there. It is Clark, Johnson, Escoto, Skeets, Garcia-Arce, and Sykes on top of each other, and a spin for Braden Eves. Braden Eves in the exclusive machine has gone around in turn number 5. I was looking down at live timing, didn't see what happened. Eric, did you pick it up?
Was looking at timing as well, and just caught the tail end of it.
So no contact at all. Just a spin because he is pulled away from the instant. So Eves rolling again out of turn number 5. We'll have a look at the replay here of what happened. Did he get touched? Did he just spin around? Watch them coming down into the braking zone. Oh yeah, he's kind of coming across a little bit as he was kind of setting up. And Eric, you talked about this yesterday, how the corner kind of turns. It sweeps over to the apex from right to left, and you kind of have to set up that way. And it looks to be like Eves, or rather Braden Eves was kind of holding the spot, but kind of leaking a bit to the right. Durst was coming a bit to the left, and that was just left front to right rear contact. A light spin for him. Braden Eves is going to be hoping for a yellow flag.
And a tough break for Tyke Durst. I believe he's pulled a stern at turn 8. So if he's still out of a protected space, we could see another full course yellow here. But Durst pulling to a stop over at the bottom of Hurry Downs.
He was looking at potentially another top 10 finish to a great run yesterday for Tyke Durst, but yeah, being told down in the hill into turn number 8, the left-hander before you roll into the carousel, Durst may be done. And you'd have to, I don't know if it would be suspension damage there, but possibly tire damage, obviously, right? Cut a tire with the contact between those two guys coming down into turn number 5. So Durst will fall down the order as they come across the line. Indeed, Hughes, Brooks, Denmark, Dashelski, Clark, Johnson, Escoto, Skeets, and Simon Sykes. Garcia-Arce still in the 10th spot. Durst now down into 18th as Braden Eves still on track at 17th.
The advantage of Road America, there are a lot of cuts that you can find as a driver to kind of get out of the way into a somewhat protected position. So right now, looks like Durst able to potentially get to a safer spot with that car if we stay green here.
We'll see. We'll get a good look at it here too, Eric, when they come down to see whether or not we can can potentially see where Durst was able to pull off the racetrack. But nonetheless, fight still looking good up front, and indeed he was able to get behind the wall. So kudos to Tyke Durst for leaving this race clean and green.
Yeah, there's a cut just before the Speedville Bridge, and I believe that's where they pulled in. So great job to keep this race green.
And indeed,
respectful for the rest of the competition.
I like it. I do like it. Look at this battle coming up, though. I'll tell you, Christian Brooks has not given up at all. Last time by a 10th quicker than Lockie Hughes. He's still got enough pace to potentially fight this one out with now 7 laps remaining.
Well, he's in the tow here. He may be in the perfect spot. He's staying back enough to save the front tires when he wants to attack. He talked about that a little bit yesterday as well in the rain coverage, that you had to be aggressive, but you also had to save your stuff throughout the entire length of the run. And he abused that the tire yesterday, kind of learned from that. That's the practical application of the way that this USF Pro Championship works for all 3 series, where you're just simply learning proper racecraft. And in this situation, sometimes saving your stuff, you're better at the end if you conserve a little bit. How do you think Scott Dixon does?
100%. And listen, again, conserve a bit, because if you have another yellow, you want to be that in second with the good tires to potentially be able to go by. Right now, though, another lap of a 10th quicker for Christian Brooks. He's got it down to just 0.4 of a second. I feel if we do go clean and green to the end, we're going to find ourselves in a tremendous scrap here for a potential race victory. And again, Brooks needs that win. I said it in the pre-race. Lockie doesn't need it. He'd love to sweep it because, of course, the dominance, just the momentum that would carry to Mid-Ohio. But even if Christian Brooks gets super aggressive, Lockie Hughes could probably just check up and kind of chill out a little bit, because you look at the guys behind him, Nikita Johnson, Chase Denmark, Lee, and Skeets, and the points. They're all behind him on the racetrack right now. He would still pull points on the primary guys in front of him. So Brooks can probably be pretty aggressive, knowing that Lockie Hughes could be thinking championship.
Well, absolutely. The other thing too is obviously on the radio a little bit. Your team's going to be kind of just keeping you apprised of where you are. Don't push the button harder than you need to do. Just continue to maintain pace. Hit your marks right now.
Yeah, 5 laps to go. 15 minutes still to go. I think as they run right now, we're going to be able to get all the laps in. Christian Brooks keeps digging. You see Chase Denmark there in 3rd. I thought that maybe Dashelski could reel him in, but he does not. Matt Clark has moved his way up to 5th again. Escoto runs 6th. Nikita Johnson 7th. Simon Sykes now up to 8th. He continues his march back forward. Simon Sykes now putting the target on the drivers in front of him to see if he can't get back into the fight here a bit. And then we've got Liam Skeets in 9th and George Garcia-Arce in 10th. So all in all, settling into what could be a good battle. I talked to a lot of the kids about this, is in those opening couple of laps, if you can be smart and keep your wits about you and you don't do anything crazy, these fields always stretch out. And yeah, you want to battle so hard, but the longer you wait, the more patient you are, the better you're going to give yourself an opportunity of a top 3 or a top 5 or a top 10. Big move, defensive move to the bottom there. I think was a scrap between Clark and Escoto. Clark went down to the bottom. Escoto tried to go around the outside. That one move to the inside of the track, and Clark did hold the line to the inside of 1. So good job for Clark for making that one move and holding it. That's the thing you have to do. You're allowed to make a move on the straightaway. You can't move back to the racing line. You get one move, and you can't move in reaction to the driver behind you as well.
And that was used to tremendous effect by Sykes, but it also bottled the field up a little bit on the exit of 14 on that restart yesterday.
There's Sykes making a move there to the inside of, I believe, Nikita Johnson, either Johnson or Escoto. Sykes gets another pass done, so he gets pushing hard. Simon Sykes trying to work his way back up, and then he goes to the outside here. Over, under to finish the pass off. Sykes coming through turn number 7, now has that spot away from Nikita Johnson. So moves Simon Sykes now up into 7th, trying to salvage this weekend. Oh, that's a big move to the inside. There's a yellow contact there. Driver around in turn number 8. And that was a late dive move for one of the drivers. I don't know who that was. I want to say it might have been Liam Skeets that went around, but I don't want to say that as of yet. You could see it happening, though, Eric. The driver just kind of threw it into the apex, and there was no way that was going to happen. And then quickly the yellow flag coming out, the marshal there, quick to the yellow as that driver got looped around. Man, that's tough because you're turning in. You think you've got it done. That's Montiero pulling away. Oh, was that Clark potentially?
That's
was
Matt
that
Clark.
Clark and a Scoto? So that was a Scoto making the dive bomb move to the inside. Oh, I'd love to have another look at that. We got it on there. We're looking at it on one of the Road America cams here, and he just threw it down to the bottom, right front to left rear contact. And listen, Matt Clark just looking for a recovery race, and he ends up getting spun around there, contact with Ricardo Escoto. Listen, what a gift to Simon Sykes. That's 2 spots for him and everybody else behind him. Nikita Johnson, Nicholas Baptiste, Liam Skeets, all of them.
The contact occurs with one of the cars. It looks like
that's a Scoto.
It's a Scoto. Is got the left sides inside the rumbles.
He's on the grass.
He's on the grass. It was a very late entry for Scoto underneath Clark.
Escoto's still on the track at 6th. I'm sure Race Control having a look at that one right now. No doubt about it. All right, let's have that replay. And like I said, all we can see is the turn into the corner. You can see how quick it happens. So
it's a late move.
Yeah, it's a super late move. Thinks about it, dives in, comes down the bottom. Clark already rolling in, and that is
Clark's committed to the corner at that point.
And that's you don't have that pass done. As I often do on a weekend, I want to go in and be part of the drivers' meeting. Tony Cogman was very adamant about where you needed to be on the racetrack, where it was your corner. And that's tough because Scoto just dove it into the bottom, and then of course I think at that point had to take evasive maneuvers to get on the other side of the curb. He still runs in the 6th position right now. You wonder whether or not there's damage to the right front for Escoto, but that moves Simon Sykes up to 5th. So it's Hughes, Brooks, Denmark, and Dushelski. Then you go back to Simon Sykes 4 seconds back. Escoto runs 6th, Nikita Johnson 7th, 8th Liam Skeet, 9th Nicholas Monteiro, and Nico Christodoulou from 18th. Up into the top 10. The chaos that we've had here today, up into the top 10. So indeed, a lot of action in this one here as we are winding the laps down in the back end of a triple header for the drivers here in USF Pro 2000. So again, as I had said, from race control, talk about the drivers meeting, the number 77 of Ricardo Escoto, a drive-through penalty. Incident responsibility for the contact with Matt Clark, quickly coming down from race control. So from 6th place, Escoto's going to have to take that long, slow drive up pit lane, essentially giving up all the spots that he had on the racetrack. Tough one for Ricardo, pushing so hard to try to find a way by.
Already taking care of that penalty right at the moment on pit lane now.
But Eric, again, you dig so hard, and that race control had to come down hard on that, because that's one of the things we've been dealing with a lot. Drivers that are getting in there, they're making moves, but they're not in a place where they've taken the corner yet. I always say, own the apex, own the exit, and he was nowhere close to owning the apex.
You know, in this, there are times where that's a real hard judgment call. You know, the front wing right inside the left front tire. Do you really have the corner of the car yet? You know, I always try to, you know, when I'm a race director at a kart track, and an incident like that happens, I use the 50% rule. If you're up to 50% of your car next to the car, you have that space. And if you're not to that 50%, you got to do what you can to bail out.
Well, I've always said too, when the contacts happen, you can kind of look at the car that gets rotated, right? If a car just gets shunted off, he's probably far enough up. But once he gets in there and there's a rotation of the car up front because you've hit the rear, you know pretty much that you're the guy that was involved there. Now, that's done. A little more chaos. Rough one for Matt Clark. He goes back to 17th. He'll go up to 16th with the drive-through penalty for Escoto, but that is not what he was looking for in a recovery. Remember, D-Force Racing working all night long to get that car put back together after he got speared by Ethan Ho in turn number 5. This now coming down to what's on the screen here. This battle between 1st and 2nd. Lockie Hughes versus Christian Brooks. Does Brooks have the package, number 1? And number 2, how hard would Hughes fight him back? Because he's leading in the points significantly. Comes in here with a 40-point lead over Nikita Johnson. Nikita now running in the 6th position, so he'd still extend the gap. In fact, everybody else close to him in the top 5 is essentially behind him. Even if Christian Brooks makes a big move, I wouldn't throw it away because the championship is going to be looking really good heading to Mid-Ohio.
Yeah, and that's because of the consistency here this weekend. You get you start up front, points from pole, and then potentially the sweep for the weekend if Christian Brooks can't get around him. The broom closet is the first door to the right.
That's it.
And Victor Lane, Road America, by the way. But, you know, in this situation, Lucky Hughes has been driving very smart. You can see that, you know, even though there's a rookie next to his name, he is driving with a certain level of maturity here in USF Pro.
Multi-time winner last year at USF2000. He was in the championship fight with Simon Sykes as well. Wasn't able to get the job done after an issue at Mid-Ohio. Did not have a good Mid-Ohio. Fell well back in the points after a couple of incidents. Wasn't able to start one race with an issue. This is the battle that's happening right now. They will see the white flag next time by. 13 laps down, 2 laps to go. White flag flying for Lucky Hughes next time by. Does Christian Brooks have anything? We saw Lucky Hughes pull away in race number 1 in the last couple of laps when he just let it all happen, stopped defending, and started just putting down quality laps at the end. Both these drivers are going to do whatever they can here in the final circuit to see if they can't get it done. Brooks trying to see if he uses that draft. He's got to get close enough to make the move down somewhere, either 1 or 5, to get that pass done.
You know, to be very honest, he's kind of been closing the gap here with coming to the white silk. But, you know, with Brooks here, you know, kind of managing that gap a little bit. Again, leaving the air on the wing, kind of saving the tires. Now he can afford to push a little bit.
This is it. If you've saved your tires for anything, this is the last lap. White flag will fly from Aaron Likens here, coming up the straightaway. Good run out of 14. Right now there for Lucky Hughes as he will lead them down. There's the gap right now, 5 or 6 car lengths.
What I have noticed in the last couple of laps, though, is Lucky Hughes has a better exit off of 14 than Brooks does.
So he's got to get the job done early, and Brooks will know that too. He'll feel the fact that he's not getting out of that corner. He's got really a couple spots to do it. 1, 5, 8, and then Canada. Where will it happen, if it can happen? Christian Brooks trying to close back up. There's the tail of the field coming through as well. That's the next grouping a little bit further back with Johnson, Skeets, Montiero. But again, waiting for this battle. Christian Brooks not close enough to dive in turn number 5. And again, is he not close enough to the point where Lockie doesn't need to defend? If he's able to run the racing line like he's doing right now, it's going to allow him to go after it. If he has to block a little bit, then all bets are off. Up the hill under the turn 6 bridge. Still clean and green through there. Brooks trying to push. Pabst Racing has not yet won here in USF Pro 2000. They won yesterday in USF 2000 with Sam Corey. And away they go through turn number 7 down to 8. Brooks still not there. It's going to have to be a dive bomb maneuver, something big time in Canada corner to see if he can score a win here. Second still good in points for Christian, but he wants the win, especially knowing the guy in front of him's pulling away in the championship. Lucky Hughes trying to score the scholarship to go to Indy next in 2025 out of the carousel through the kink. Brooks does not look like he's close enough at this point. You get that long run down through kettle bottoms, though. This would be it. And you got to figure a defense will be coming here from Lucky Hughes. Brooks is pretty close this time. They'll work their way down into Canada. He does go to the inside of the racetrack a little bit. Brooks not close enough coming in. He can't get the pass done to the inside. And as Eric has already talked about, he is good in 14. Does he throw it to the bottom in 14? Do we get a defensive move? Does he cover off the bottom? He does not. He runs the racing line and says, come and get me on the draft. Out of 14.
He's 3 car lengths closer this time off of 14, but you look at that gap grow here as they pull out of 14.
There it is, coming up the hill. Brooks is going to try to make a run for it, but he's not going to do it. Ladies and gentlemen, back to back jacks for Lucky Hughes. Sweeps the triple header at Road America and extends the point lead in USF Pro 2000. What a performance, maybe the best weekend of this driver's young career. Lucky Hughes, yet another victory. And will extend that point lead heading to Mid-Ohio in just 3 weeks' time. Wow, unbelievable run. Christian Brooks threw everything at him, but comes up just shy, a little under 0.3 of a second. Chase Denmark makes it 2 Pabst cars on the podium. Danny Yashelski up into 4th, and Simon Sykes recovers back to 5th. What a great drive for Simon. All the way back to 5th, getting by Nikita Johnson. So all 3 Pabst cars in the top 5, just not on the top step. Nikita Johnson ends up at 6th. Nico Christodoulou, last lap, his fastest lap, 18th to 7th, plus 11th, the Tilton Hard Charger for Nicholas Christodoulou. Liam Skeets in 8th spot, Nicholas Montiero in 9th, and George Garciarce rounding out the top 10. There are your unofficial results for race number 3 here of USF Pro 2000. It was a banger for sure, as I said. I knew it was going to be a good one, and they went at it in a big way. I think some of the best racing might have been outside the top 10, too. They were 2-3 wide quite a bit. We saw lots of drivers come forward. Nico Christodoulou, what a drive for the Canadian in only his first weekend here in USF Pro 2000, the number 32, having a tremendous drive up into 7th. Another good run for Liam Skeets into the top 10. But again, good drives for essentially everybody in the top 5 in points. Hughes with the win. Johnson ends up in 6th. 3rd place in points. Denmark, he's P3. Christian Brooks 2nd, P5 in points. And Braden Eves, 6th place in points, down in 14th. Although the best thing for Eves, we're going to probably his best racetrack on the circuit next, and that's Mid-Ohio. So that's going to be an opportunity for Eves to potentially come back into the fight.
But, you know, we talked about, of course, Pabst Racing still just not able to get the top step of that podium here in Pro. But the other aspect of it is Nikita Johnson and Nicholas Christodoulou for VRD Racing. They have lacked consistent speed this weekend and able to gather at least a few points here in race 3.
I was going to say that the recovery for race 3 for Nikita has been big. Obviously a great drive for his teammate Nico Christodoulou, fighting his way back up into the top 10, but for Nikita at least to get some kind of a result here I think is big for him. Otherwise, this is going to be a celebration. Peter and Mandy Dempsey and Turn 3 Motorsports, 3 straight wins. They started the season off with a victory at St. Petersburg, had a very rough outing at NOLA Motorsports Park, but this kid has come back. This is 7 straight podiums. On the podium, all 3 races at Indianapolis. On the podium, 3rd in the Freedom 90, and 3 wins here. 7 podiums in a row. That is what championships are made of, Eric. No doubt about that.
Absolutely, and the effort here to just build that consistency for that team has been incredible to watch this weekend. And they've had some adversity thrown at them with the weather yesterday, and it's not as easy as they made it look. When you just look at the results sheet, it looks, well, it's a pretty tame weekend, but they've had to fight back a little bit too. So it's not been all cheese curds and donuts here in Wisconsin. For
all
sure.
right, I'll head to victory lane. I'll let you know when I'm ready to roll.
All right, Rob Howden will send him down to victory lane. Well, race fans, here at America's National Park of Speed, Road America, you're going to get a free race today. That's right. We added a race to the calendar on your race day Sunday. This USF2000 race coming up in just a few moments after the podium celebration. As you see Lockie Hughes pull into Road America's victory lane here just across from us here in the VIP Tower. And but race 2 for USF 2000 up next. Race originally was supposed to go yesterday afternoon. It would have been a quick turnaround regardless for USF 2000 with both races yesterday. But with the rain causing the postponement to the end of the day for USF 2000, that's where we have a situation that USF Pro Championships elected to bring race 2 to Sunday morning, immediately following USF Pro. So we get an extra race on this Sunday that's not on the fans guide and fan schedule here at America's National Park of Speed. So we're all about free racing, right? So we like it to get that extra race. It's going to be a dandy. It's up next, USF 2000, after the podium celebrations for the USF Pro Championship here from America's National Park of Speed. Want to thank the folks tuning in all around the world on the USF YouTube channel. Lots of good questions throughout the race. We'll maybe see if we can get to some of them during the USF 2000 race as well. But thanks for hanging out with us online as well. Cars are fired on the false grid here at Road America. You see Rob Howden hosting the podium festivities. Because of the added race, we're going to go. We're going to keep the podiums local to Victory Lane, and we're going to get USF 2000 underway. Let's take a look at the starting grid here at Road America for race 2 for USF 2000. Starting on the last row is the 95 of Anthony Martella for Exclusive Autosport. In the next row, starting 20th, the 7 of Jace Bacon for Jay Howard Driver Development, and the 93 of Giovanni Cabrera for Exclusive Autosport. In row 9, it is Tanner DeFabis for Jay Howard and VRD Racing's Xavier Kokai. He'll start 17th. In row 8, for D-Force Racing, Quinn Armstrong, another one of the very quick rookie campaigners here in USF 2000. In DC Autosports, Carson Etter, the 57, will start alongside. In row 7, it is the 12 of Maxwell Jameson for D-Force Racing. Lucas Facuri, also for D-Force Racing, the number 10, will start 13th. Their teammate, Brady Golan, will start the number 18 in the 12th spot, starting 11th. In row 6 is Ayrton Hout for DC Autosport. Had a great drive yesterday, had the 3rd spot on the podium until he didn't. Elliott Cox from Sir Fisher Hartman Racing Development will start 10th in row 5 alongside Hudson Schwartz for Pabst Racing in the 22. G3 Arguros for Jay Howard Driver Development will start on the outside of row 4. On the inside, the 6 of Ivagoras Papasavas for Jay Howard Driver Development. Did not make the start yesterday with electrical issues with that car. On row 3, it is the 1 of Nicholas Giaffoni for D-Force Racing, and the winner yesterday, the 23 of Sam Corey for Pabst Racing. Starting in row 2 is the 8 of Michael Costello for Jay Howard Driver Development. Joey Brienzo will start alongside for Exclusive Autosport, and then it is the 24 Pabst Racing car of Max Garcia, who got pipped at the line for a podium spot by Max Taylor for VRD Racing yesterday. Max Taylor, your pole sitter here in USF 2000. Thanks for everyone for tuning in around the track, around the globe. Honda Civic Type R safety car leading the field underneath the Speedville Bridge. The entrance to the carousel, turn 9 here at Road America. Very good friend of mine, Greg Creamer, calls this America's Nürburgring, or very similar to Spa. Very quick corners here at Road America. Not a lot of twisty bits, as Greg says, but I will tell you that this racetrack is certainly built upon getting a rhythm, and you want to get into that rhythm very early here in USF 2000. Struggled with getting that the race underway in the rain. It started, got a lap in yesterday, and then a 5-hour postponement and run at the last event of the day. They ran this race in the twilight here in Wisconsin. The sun was out, track was completely dry, and it was a dandy of a finish yesterday. These young drivers adapting to multiple changing conditions throughout the weekend. Again, the wind today very similar to what Thursday and Friday test days were. Sun is out, track temperature is high, and right now we've got a temperature of about 68 degrees here at America's National Park of Speed. Wisconsin, blue sky overhead, and ready to go racing for race 2 of the weekend. Battle of the Maxes up front. Let's see who wins the drag race down to turn 1. Safety car is off, and the field waiting to rise the hill underneath the NTT Data Bridge here at Road America. USF 2000 presented by Continental Tire, ready to go green here at Road America. Green flag is in the air. Green, 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 as Rob says. We are underway, and Max Garcia ducks right in line behind Max Taylor. In the drag race, they fan out 3 wide down the front straightaway, 4 wide for a moment, but Garcia now will go to the outside again. Side by side, everybody through turn 1 at the moment. Great start here to start USF 2000 at Road America. Taylor jumps out to the early lead. Garcia settles into the second spot, still side by side in the battle for third. Underway, lap 1 for USF 2000 here at Road America, race 2 of the weekend. Opening lap going into turn 5 for the first time. Garcia looks again to the outside and ducks back in the line. I believe that is Brienza and Costello battling for third and fourth. Garcia looks to the outside at 6 and ducks back into line. Elbows up, but not out here in this opening lap. I think race control got through to just get through this first lap, settle into a rhythm, and go racing here. Into turn 8, Taylor, Garcia. And there's a little bit of elbows out here into turn 8, bottom of Hurry Downs on this opening lap. Into the carousel now, downhill, and there is a little bit of a camber to it, but it just feels like you're off camber, just the way the car rotates and lays over to the left side. But this drives your exit out of 10 through the kink, flat out through the kink with these cars. And Max Taylor right now pulling about a 5-car length advantage over Garcia into Canada Corner, and that gap closes as Max Garcia laid on the brakes into turn 12. And we've got a car off in the grass, stays straight, and rejoins.
Might have been Elliot Cox potentially.
And Cox had a third-place run going until he didn't on the final lap yesterday.
He was not happy at all with some of the blocks that were thrown on him on that last lap. I don't think he was quite pleased with it at all. Neither was race control. They've looked at a lot of videos yesterday. They were in there for quite a while. Indeed. So here, let me give you the update here, folks. As we said, we immediately went racing. This thing is going to be, we're on a tight schedule, as we know. This is going to be a shortened race, I believe. This is going to go, I think, another 18 minutes because we're essentially going to go right to 11 o'clock. We have to checker this at 11 to get back on schedule with IndyCar. Remember, we kind of shoehorned this USF2000 race into the schedule because of the rain that we had yesterday. Where we had race number 2 in the schedule, we completed race number 1, so we had to jam this one here earlier this morning. So this will be a shortened race up to 11 o'clock. So still 18 minutes to go, a little under 18, maybe 17 minutes to go. So obviously not going to do the full 12 lap distance here, but nonetheless, we are racing with USF 2000. I did speak with Max Taylor, and he knows how good of a race car they have here right now, and he was very pleased. I qualified well, looking for that win. He's already got his first victory on the season at Indianapolis on the road course. That was super special for Max, and to see if he can back it up here at Road America would be massive. You get that second win and the momentum starts rolling. He actually comes in 4th place in points, Eric. He's got 149 points. Max Garcia is out nicely, though, ahead of Sam Corey right now as Pabst Racing 1-2 in the points. Yeah, and Max Taylor able to pip Garcia yesterday right at the line and try to get to the pole position. Had the fastest lap there, so that's where we're sitting with the pole. Interesting maneuver towards the kink. Not sure if I would have wanted to pull off. We've got another car off in the grass on the exit of 10, and that is Elliot Cox again. So this is the fight right now between Sam Corey and Joey Brienza. Brienza coming a bit across the track, coming over for the kink. That's the fight that we're seeing there right now, a little further back. Right now, great run as well, as Michael Costello has got himself into second. Moved Costello up into the second position. I remember had some issues with the contact with Garcia yesterday, put him deeper in the field, had to fight his way back forward. And indeed, now we got a scrap potentially for the race win here between these two drivers. Timed race, as we said, you can see it on the screen now. Just over 15 minutes remaining in the run here. These drivers, I think they know it. Their elbows are up for sure. We'll give you a top 10 rundown. Taylor, Costello, Garcia 3rd, Joey Brienza 4th, Sam Corey 5th, Giafoni 6th, Evagores Papasavas after that DNS yesterday 7th, Ayrton Hauk 8th, Brady Gola 9th, and G3 Argyros in 10th. We talked about how Sam Corey able to kind of capitalize yesterday afternoon for that top step on the podium. Struggled a little bit here in the 5th spot, but Max Taylor really in command of this field right now. But Michael Costello, Jay Howard, trying to pick up the pieces and try to rebound a little bit from yesterday. Yeah, the pace is there for Costello. He's had some good runs this year, but would love to have that podium. He's not yet been on the podium. In fact, Costello a little further down in the championship points, currently in the 12th spot. His best finish of the year was the opening round. I think it was either a 4th or a 5th at St. Petersburg was his best run. So I think it was 5th actually at St. Pete. He hasn't been able to get to the podium yet. This could be the day. Look at him right there, putting the pressure right off the gearbox of Max Taylor. And they're pulling away as well from Garcia, who runs 3rd. Brienza 4th, Corey 5th. Here's a move further back. Papasavas to the inside, and Giafoni book it. He gets the pass done coming down into turn number 8. That's for 6th. Evagoras Papasavas, who comes in here now third place in points. The only DNF on the season there. A rough one for him. Actually, the second DNF on the season. He had one in Indianapolis as well. He's now further back in the points, but Evagoras waiting for that first victory. It will come. He won last year at Mid-Ohio. Triple header there next month, so good opportunity for him to potentially do what Lockie Hughes just did and sweep the weekend.
And certainly one of his favorite racetracks, of course. 13 and just over 13 and a half minutes remaining in this one. Max Taylor in command, leading Michael Costello, Max Garcia, Brienza, and Corey, your top 5. And again, turn 12, you got a little bit of that extra pavement there, but that pavement is not smooth. I'll tell you, there is a lot of rumbles there that are about 6 feet wide. And when you get all 4 tires onto that, it'll rattle your teeth.
We saw Elliot Cox fall back a couple of spots there, had some issues. Got to press that reset button and get back at it again as they work their way again across start finish here as the field putting lap number 3 in the books here. Taylor, Costello, Garcia, Corey, and Brienza. Corey finally able to get by Brienza. Here's a more racing between Hudson Schwartz, I think fighting it out there with Brady Golden. I think Schwartz able to get to the inside, so that's for 10th. So Hudson Schwartz making the move to the inside to go P10. Solid run yesterday for him as well. Schwartz earlier this year had an absolutely horrible weekend in Indianapolis. Just nothing seemed to go right for him in Indy. But again, turning things around and trying to work his way forward here at Road America. So again, watching this fight up front, that's the scrap right now for 3rd and 4th. And that is the 2 Pabst cars. Your point leader, Garcia, and your current second place point man, Sam Corey, coming out the victory yesterday, currently runs in 4th. Able to get by Brienza, now closing up on Garcia. This is a battle I want to see happen. This is going to be interesting between the VRD driver, Max Taylor, and the J. Howard driver development pilot, Michael Costello. Already a win, as I said, in the season for Taylor, so he's tasted victory. It's whether or not Costello has what it takes to fight him out and go after him. Right now, they're pulling away for a 1-2 finish if we were to go all the way through the next 12 minutes.
Interesting to note, Sam Corey following Max Garcia there in that 4th spot, about 3 or 4 car lengths back, but notice the different lines that we're starting to see some of these drivers take through the exit of the carousel. Half car width, full car width, just trying to keep a little bit of air on the front wings of these cars. A little bit more mechanical grip with this USF2000 platform, but these cars still use those wings, utilize, get some downforce, keep those tires planted.
So when we went from the old Van Diemen car that was, that's still used in many of the program, I thought maybe somebody went off. The camera was trying to pan there. The old Van Diemen cars that were the US, the F2000 car for many years, we went to the carbon car. The concept was to do that, take away a lot of the aerodynamic downforce, put a lot more mechanical grip in the car so they wouldn't have to deal with so much aero wash. You're going to get that in the Pro car simply because of the more aerodynamics we have on that car, but for this one we want them to be able to race a little bit more. And we've seen that. There's not near as much aero wash in these cars, and that's allowed a lot closer racing. As we're seeing right now, as Corey, Brienza, and Papasavas now closing up, kind of stacking up behind Max Garcia. There's a couple of drivers there for D-Force side by side coming across the line as well. I think that, I'm trying to figure out which driver. Those are Brady Gold and Lucas Fercuri. Those drivers battling it out right now for 11th and 12th.
Lock up into 3 mid-pack.
I think that's that same group.
Yeah.
I think that was good with Goalie and Fercuri.
Yeah, might have been Fercuri with the lock up there. 10 and a half minutes remaining. Again, a hard stop, checkered flag at 11 o'clock. This race kind of getting shoehorned in, but Garcia protecting a little bit to the inside of 5, and he goes wide.
He went wide, and that has allowed Brienza to climb through, and here comes Giafoni in there as well, put his elbows up.
That's Sam Corey in a position too.
No, Sam got pushed backwards. He was the one that was trying to go side by side, and they went off the outside of the racetrack. We've talked all weekend about what it's like to go outside of the rumbles, the exit curbing of turn number 5, and that's a gift for Brienza. I believe he's potentially up into 3rd now. Joey Brienza up into 3rd. Yeah, 10 minutes remaining. As we said, a hard stop at 11 o'clock to get right back on the calendar for IndyCar. Obviously, a lot of stuff coming. Time-specific schedule for TV. So 11 o'clock will be done here with USF 2000. They're still going to get a bunch of laps in here. We got a lot still coming. They may get up to lap 8 or lap 9 if they're lucky. But indeed, what a battle there. A little issue there for Garcia, moves him back. And Papasavas was able to get through as well, Eric. So that's a couple of spots. So Papasavas, I believe, is going to go up into 5th or 4th. And Garcia and Corey potentially back in 5th and 6th, respectively. We'll see which one of those drivers actually was able to hold on for P5.
You know, and you look at this series again, a development series for USF Pro, which just completed. And then when you're in USF Pro, you're 2 steps away from the IndyCar series. These drivers learning how to race cleanly, elbows up, not necessarily elbows out. We've had a fairly clean race so far with 10 minutes to go, but now you're going to start feeling kind of that emotion start to amp up as we get closer to that checkered flag.
Indeed.
These drivers are going to want to get to the front.
Good battle there for the back. We were kind of keying on there. They're side by side. That was G3 Argyros and Ayrton Hauk. Hauk for DC Autosport. Argyros makes the move to the inside for Jay Howard Driver Development. So he goes into the 8th spot. Hauk in 9th, looking for a top 10 for Ayrton Hauk. He comes in here right now, sitting 8th place in the points. There's been some high points for Ayrton Hauk.
3 wide into turn 3. Elliot Cox.
Cox on the inside. Why not? Elliot Cox back in 15th says, "Hey, this ain't working for me. I got to get a couple of spots." Remember on that restart, he got 5 spots on the restart late yesterday to get into the top 5.
Yeah, absolutely. He was flying and then got to that 3rd spot yesterday until he didn't. On the backside, they made contact and had a little bit of left front damage.
Yeah.
And he dropped back, able to hold on for, I believe, 5th yesterday. But
He was lucky the wing didn't come off on the lap.
Absolutely.
So again, drivers coming through turn 6 and 7 here. There's Giafoni in the scholarship car, last year's USF Juniors champion. He's currently running in the 7th spot. Been a rough weekend for Nicholas. He's currently 9th place in points. But again, digging forward to see if he can't get up to that fight between Brienza, Papasavas, Corey, and Garcia. That issue, that mistake, Eric, in turn number 5, where he went off track on the outside of the corner, dropped him from 3rd all the way back to 6th. Brienza, Papasavas, and eventually Corey able to get by as well.
Yeah, so Taylor, Costello, Brienza, Papasavas trying to make up some points from yesterday, too.
He needs it, man. You think of how gutting that was, because he had a solid qualifying effort, a fast car.
And we talked to him We talked to him
we had him in the booth here with us.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
and he was really looking forward. Felt he had a really good car. Was supposed to start 7th, and just never got started.
I gotta say, what's the feeling when you're on the grid? You've been waiting, you're ready to go, and you're gonna fire it up, and ain't nothing. It did not fire, and the team, everybody went to work trying to get him fired back up. But just
so a couple of different teams trying to help.
Dan Mitchell jumped in there from
absolutely.
VRD as well. It ended up being, I think, an ECU issue. Here comes Cox again. Yeah, that's a move potentially inside of Xavier Kokai. So again, you watch these drivers side by side coming up the straightaway. We'll see what ends up. There's Giafoni. There's the drivers just inside the top 10. Look at this, all the way down to the wall. Cox trying to find a way by another one. I think he's trying to get by Brady Golan as well. Cox trying to get himself back up into the top 10. Here's the fight down. He'll go to the outside. Kokai to the inside. They're coming through turn number 1. Cox to the outside. He'll get the spot. Not able to get by the D-Force driver. That's Brady Golan, I believe. But that is a really good fight just outside the top 10. As they work their way down into turn number 3. Some tremendous racing further back here. The drivers in USF 2000, 6 minutes remaining, likely 3 laps, potentially maybe 4. Max Taylor still leads. He and Costello, who's back by 6/10, a full 5 seconds up on Joey Brienza. So a good opportunity for either one of these drivers to come away with a race win. Brienza solidly into the 3rd spot. Already a podium on the weekend for Joey Brienza. How good it would be for him to get another podium here, Eric? He's 1 point behind Elliot Cox and only 11 points behind Max Taylor. He will not be able to close on Taylor because of the win, but a potential to move up another spot here for Joey Brienza.
Absolutely, and Joey's trying to capitalize on that. Tried to, work his way forward yesterday as well. But with 5.5 minutes remaining here, now it's time to start to clamping those belts a little bit more down the straightaway, because it's going to get interesting here mid-pack. They are all stacked up behind Cox now. And that's a battle for 14th, 15th, 16th, and 17th.
That's the battle for the lead. Costello looking to the outside. Can't go, and he goes way off and almost loses it. He almost throws it away and very likely hands the victory to Max Taylor. He tried the outside, hung on the outside, but got caught up. You mentioned that's not an exit curb that you want to get up on, because he almost looped it around, almost gave second to Brienza.
He is very lucky he did not bend that. To be very fair, that was a whale of a save.
Tremendous save for him for sure. And again, that kind of resets things. That's going to be a big lead right now for Max Taylor. It was only 0.6 of a second, now calling 3.4. Taylor from Hoboken, New Jersey. Look at the gap as he goes down into turn number 1. Got a chance to grab his second win. Look at this further back, though. It's Garcia, Papasavas, and Corey. And Garcia gets to the inside of Papasavas. That is the fight right now for 4th, 5th, and 6th.
You know, Sam Corey, after the win yesterday, had finished on the top step of the podium and tried to get back towards the front. But Sam Corey made that mistake in 5 with a little bit of contact with Garcia, sent them both back. Now they're both trying to race back towards the front.
So indeed, 4 minutes remaining in this one. And look at the battle further back. There is so much racing going on. Papasavas goes to the inside there on Corey, and they're going to climb the hill on a 5 up to turn number 6. Look at this fight here. Papasavas back to the inside, takes the spot. Hey, all this side-by-side racing has brought Giafoni and Argyros back in, but a full course yellow. This is going to effectively end this one. We may have a driver off in turn number 1. Full course yellow, lock down your positions. Indeed, not sure who it is at this point, but we may see this race come to an end. 100% we're going to see it come to an end. We have 3 minutes left. Lock them down. Unofficially, Max Taylor is going to get the race win. Eric's having a look at all the screens we can see to find out where potentially the driver is off. Likely turn number 1, we're thinking here. So somebody in the gravel on the exit of turn number 1. We'll try to get a shot of it here for you. We're going to actually give you a replay. We'll try to figure out who this is. Here's Taylor. So driver's coming through. Oh, that thing's starting to rotate, and it's going to snap back. No. Wow, the driver I thought was going to spin. It's actually Carson Eder going around for DC Autosport. The driver in the front of that was fully crossed up. He saved it. Eder was not able to, loses the rear end, slides it off backwards into the gravel trap of race number 1, and the white flag will be displayed. This time for Max Taylor. Taylor is going to take the win. Costello 2nd, Joey Brienza on the podium in 3rd, Evagoras Papasavas in 4th, Sam Corey 5th, Max Garcia 6th, Nicholas Giafoni 7th, G3 Argyros in 8th, and 9th spot and 10th spot Hudson Schwartz and Ayrton Hauk. Elliot Cox, I think with a couple more laps, may have been able to get a couple more spots, but he's going to end up in the 12th spot after coming back up from 17th. But that spin in turn number 1 will bring things to a close. As we said, we are right up against the hard stop at 11 o'clock. We'll pass everything over to, of course, IndyCar and the show that will wrap up the remainder of the day. It's going to be a good one, Eric. Listen, if you were to look at the forecast coming into this weekend, what kind of a day would you want on Sunday?
Sunny, blue skies, 70 degrees.
That's perfect.
This is summer weather here today with a little bit of a breeze keeping it cool. Normally in summer we got about 90% humidity, which we had 100% yesterday. If you know what Wisconsin weather looked like.
This is fantastic.
This is a perfect race day, and you know we say this every year at the end of our last race together. How much fun you and I have working in the booth here. It's always a pleasure to work with USF Pro Championships here at Road America, and we can't wait till next year. And certainly juniors coming up in August.
Yeah, for sure. Looking forward to be back here with our USF Juniors program, part of a USAC weekend. The Skip Barber Formula Race Series will be here as well in that first weekend of August. This is big for Max Taylor, not only for the fact that he got his 2nd win, but also the fact that Garcia finishing down in 6th position. He's likely going to gain I'm going to say probably 20, maybe 17, 18 points on him. And think about the fact that coming in, he was back by quite a bit. He was back by 77 points, and he's going to gain back 17, let's say, or more. So putting him up to potentially, so much closer than he would have been coming in. And Garcia's still got a big gap. Let's be real. He's got tons of points still on Sam Corey, who gained up a couple. But this is big. And again, you and I talked yesterday about how crucial it is to get that first win. The second win is right there as well. The second win backs up the first one, right? Yeah, I won a race. I feel good about it. But you get that second one, you're now a race winner that can win more and more races. I always think that second race is crucial to back it up.
Oh, we talked yesterday, especially at the finish of race 1, when Max Taylor got around Max Garcia right at the start-finish line. That's building a little bit of momentum and a little bit of confidence yesterday. And it turns into a top-of-the-box podium today. Now, you look at elsewhere as well. Ayrton Hauk finishing in 10th, started 11th, had gotten back towards 15th, raced back up. Purdue Grand Prix driver.
Yes.
So I've seen Ayrton already this year.
You have, indeed. Ayrton's a great kid.
And thanks to Dusty Michael for the shout-out, by the way.
Fantastic speaker, as we know. He's great outside the car. The thing about Ayrton is the fact that they don't have the money to finish the season, right? They're trying to get sponsors, they're working on partners to do whatever they can do. He's got a bunch of great groups of people. Wings and Wheels Foundation are behind. He's been signing some more sponsors to be able to come racing here and to get a couple of top 10s here at Road America, knowing that Mid-Ohio's coming up, a track he knows well from all the success he's had, of course, in the FRP F1600 Championship Series. He was a Team USA scholarship member. So indeed, Ayrton Hauk, a top 10 here. Solid run for that driver out of Indiana. But again, this is it, folks. Checkered flag will fly. Full course yellow, but the checkers at start finish. Max Taylor now officially a two-time race winner here in USF 2000 in 2024. He will get the victory. Max Taylor with the win. Michael Costello in second. Joey Brienza third. Sam Corey fourth. Evagoras Papasavas in fifth. Max Taylor sixth. Nicholas Giafoni 7th, G3 Archeros, Hudson Schwartz, and Ayrton Hauk rounding out the top 10. We're right up against that hard stop, as I said, at 11 o'clock here, so our victory lane will be local. We'll do what we can to potentially have it on the stream still, but otherwise, those of you who tuned in on USF Pro Championships on the YouTube channel or the app, we hope you enjoyed a fantastic morning. There are your unofficial results. Eric, thank you, my friend. Appreciate it.
Always. Thanks for tuning in. USF 2000 here from America's National Park of Speed. Morning warm-up in Indy next, followed by, of course, the Expel Grand Prix, all on the docket here today at Road America.